It's Thursday, April 16th.
They do not care about the human condition in those detention centers.
Deported back to Canada and banned from the U.S., we'll hear from a Canadian who is detained by ICE and held at the infamous Alligator Alcatraz.
So we got about an hour's notice that we were no longer going to be getting helium.
A helium shortage due to the conflict in the Middle East having widespread impacts, including here in Saskatchewan.
For Oiring. Tees it up. Rudolph a shot. It gets in behind Gardner and into the net. It squeaks in.
And the Prince Albert Raiders have advanced to the Eastern Conference Final. Stay with us, Saskatchewan. Your morning starts right now. Good morning, Saskatchewan. My name is Daryl.
And I'm Janelle. Thank you for being here with us.
Another wintry blast here in Saskatchewan, Janelle.
That's right. Let's show you a video from Prince Albert. So this is what April 16th looks like in that fine city.
Naturally. Good dog walking weather.
Really ideal. Luckily, they will have road crews out this morning. So this is all a part of this yellow snowfall warning as the system moves its way through. We're expecting 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. So some pockets could actually get up to about 25 centimeters, and it should ease by tonight.
Good reminder, the travel may be challenging, particularly along the Trans-Canada Highway from the Alberta border to Regina and along Highway 11, Regina to Saskatoon. Here's a look at the highway hotline. Red on the screen is snow-covered condition. That's a number of highways leaving Regina in the southeast corner. Travel not recommended on all those blue roads. Janelle will have your full forecast coming up in about 8 minutes. First, today's headlines, and we begin with this. A cheerful Liberal Party welcomed its newest members yesterday, celebrating their new majority government.
Canadians have placed their trust in the government's plan. We now have reinforcements to help implement that, and we're going to go straight to work.
Prime Minister Mark Carney hosted his first caucus meeting since winning a majority, ushering in the three newly elected MPs. The latest floor crosser, Marilyn Gladu, was also front and center. The Liberals secured 174 seats after 5 MPs crossed the floor, and the party won all 3 by-elections on Monday. And while the Liberal candidates celebrate, the Conservatives appear to be focused on the future, continuing their support of Pierre Poilievre.
Caucus is united and united behind a leader that has a vision.
Our caucus is united behind Pierre Poilievre.
Pierre Poilievre and our Conservative colleagues are the last hope to save our country. That's why we're united.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has said he has no plans to resign. 4 of the 5 floor crossers were Conservative MPs, and the numbers from Monday's by-election show the Conservative vote share falling. The Conservative candidate in the Montreal area riding of Terrebonne captured roughly 3% of the vote, which is a 15% drop. Closer to home, the Saskatchewan Government and General Employees Union upset over the NDP's comments surrounding a misconduct allegation from a former member in the Saskatchewan Marshals Service. Last summer, an unidentified marshal resigned, and the NDP filed a Freedom of Information request looking for records related to the investigation. The NDP spoke about this issue on Friday, saying that the government refused to provide any information, seeking transparency on what happened. The SJHL released a statement yesterday saying that allegations involving individual workers must be handled through appropriate processes, through collective bargaining agreements, and respect confidentiality. And the SJHL members do not deserve to have their privacy threatened.
We represent our members, and I think our main concern right now is the reputational damage that this is trying to cause for the marshals. And it's not fair, and it's not warranted, and there's other ways they can go about getting their information instead of slamming one worker, one individual, multiple times in the press.
The unidentified marshal resigned from the service last summer. Staggering overdose numbers being reported by Saskatoon Fire this morning. Jeremy Dodge, the latest.
Thank you, Daryl. Yeah, the Saskatoon Fire Department says it has responded to 195 overdose calls over the past 2 weeks. The spike prompted Ministry of Health alert on Monday, warning of a higher risk of overdose in Saskatoon. The ministry says it doesn't know what substance is causing these overdoses. In the past, the province sometimes shared descriptions and images of drugs using information from a drug checking machine operated by Prairie Harm Reduction. That service was lost when the site closed. The chief operations officer at the Saskatoon Community Clinic says that information was critical, and without it, responders don't know what they're dealing with or whether naloxone will work, since it's only effective for opioid overdoses.
Right now, with these overdose responses, we're flying blind when we're doing a response. We don't know what folks have taken. We don't know what the unexpected substance is, so we don't know how to counteract that quickly.
The ministry says no decision has been made on a new location for drug checking. It adds other services, including take-home test strips, are still available through Saskatoon Public Health on Idlewild Drive and the Saskatoon Tribal Council Health Centre on 20th Street. The ministry also says there's no data at this time linking the recent spike in overdoses to the closure of Prairie Harm Reduction. Well, so far for the Saskatoon area, no big snowfall this week so far. But residents in municipalities north are digging out from a snowy April. Environment Canada says Wednesday's snowfall added about 3 centimeters to the Prince Albert area. But the snowpack is still a full 43 centimeters. The city of Prince Albert does not have a final tally on snow clearing costs this winter, but said in a statement the budget is managed with a reserve for additional funds if needed. Now, back in November, the annual operating budget for snow management in Prince Albert was approved at about $1.5 million.
That the low pressure systems that give the snow has been taking the path has been the same almost the whole winter. So it's sort of come over central Saskatchewan so many times.
And snowfall was higher north of the city, with 20 centimeters reported in the Emma Lake area. Well, Daryl, annual Suma convention is wrapped up for another year.
Yeah, and one of the main talking points yesterday, more than half of Saskatchewan residents living in large urban centres, as you know, and services in those communities are coming under further strain.
There should be some type of input of money to help us with doing that from those who prosper from that entity or other entities like that or other assets like that that serve both Regina community and the outliers.
The province says it's not leaving rural communities in the dust and will not force any community into amalgamation with another town or surrounding RM, but they would support a transition for any community who does not see a traditional urban governance as sustainable. Similar to cities, some small towns are also faced with financial constraints as provincial and federal dollars are allocated mostly to larger centres.
Big cities received $14 million for infrastructure projects that they're doing. That helps build them, yay on them. What is the plans for communities between 100 and 5,000?
While forced amalgamation is off the table, the government says it is constantly searching for ways to improve cooperation. A Saskatchewan legal analyst is wondering if changes in national law will prevent more trials from being thrown out if they take too long. Last week, the Saskatchewan Court of Appeals upheld a ruling that Taylor Kennedy's impaired driving trial will not restart. Kennedy was arrested after striking and killing a 9-year-old girl, Bailey Maurice, at a crosswalk in Saskatoon in September of 2021. Now, due to lengthy delays because of the COVID-19 pandemic, Charter of Rights arguments, and lawyer availability, the charges were stayed after nearly 30 months. The Supreme Court lays out 18 months as a reasonable time frame, but legal analysts say a case going before the Supreme Court may look at alternatives.
No one wants to have the state charging them with an offense for 2 years. But is that a good enough reason to say we're going to just dismiss the charge? In many cases, I think that's overkill.
The Public Prosecution's Office says it is reviewing the case to see if it will appeal to the Supreme Court. The deadline to appeal is mid-June. Fighting between Lebanon and Israel continues, with talks between their two leaders expected to take place today. An Israeli cabinet minister is confirming the talks, saying Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will speak to the Lebanese president today. But there is some confusion over whether the two leaders will actually meet. U.S. President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social last night that the two leaders would speak today, but Lebanon says it is not aware of any upcoming contact with Israel. The last time the leaders of Lebanon and Israel held direct talks was in the early 90s. Meanwhile, Pakistan's army chief is meeting with Iran officials today in Tehran. The face-to-face meeting is the latest effort to ease tensions in the Middle East and arrange a second round of negotiations between the U.S. and Iran. The SJHL final is now set. The Flin Flon Bombers will face the Yorkton Terriers for the title starting on Friday. The Bombers beat the Weyburn Red Wings 1-0 last night in Game 7, and the Yorkton Terriers rode a late game surge to a 6-3 win over the Battleford's North Stars in the other Game 7. We get over to the Weather Center. Janelle Lipai is standing by. And, listen, I got to show you some great pictures because we keep getting them coming in. And yesterday, I'm wearing shorts and a T-shirt. I bought a Slurpee. These Pelicans must be just as confused as I was, because yesterday it's beautiful. Today, they're getting pelted with snow.
Yeah, it's cold out there, and lots of that ice, that snow, and that rain is coming down, and that is expected to last throughout the day. So to all of the Pelicans and, of course, everybody else here in Saskatchewan, make sure that you're dressing warm and driving safe here today. Now let's take a look at our current temperature at -7. Again, starting to see some of that precipitation coming down. Those wind speeds are going to climb quite quickly today as well. We're already at about 37 kilometers per hour, making it feel much colder. Over to Saskatoon now. It doesn't look to be much for precipitation at the moment, but that is to come a little bit later here this morning. -9 currently and 35 kilometer per hour winds. Now let's move over to our futurecast so we can check out the snowstorm moving through the province. Environment Canada still has that snowfall warning in effect. Again, 10 to 15 centimeters is generally expected, but it could reach up to about 25 centimeters. So this precipitation that we're seeing right here should come to an end by this evening and into the night as well. Now for our total snowfall amounts, again, we just discussed it, but this is kind of what we're looking at. So Swift Current and Saskatoon seeing almost 18 centimeters. Regina 19, Moose Jaw 21, Yorkton seeing 25. So that will be making those roads quite slick. For currents here throughout the province, Buffalo Narrows at -18, Stony Rapids -25 along with South End, Spiritwood -9, Nipawin at -14, East End -5, Kindersley at -10 along with Yorkton, Estevan -3, Moose Jaw -6. Now for our highs today, you can see snow across the boards. The Battleford seeing -5 for the high. Prince Albert -4, Yorkton -8, both Moose Jaw and Swift Current -6, Estevan sitting at about -1. Now for our 7-day forecast, let's take a look at what we can expect for the rest of the week into the weekend and even next week. So today reaching -6 for our high, hitting that low of about -10 tonight. Again, seeing that snow stop by tomorrow with -5 as the high. Now over the weekend, things are starting to warm up again. 2 degrees on Saturday, 7 on Sunday. Monday, we're starting off a brand new week with a beautiful temperature of 16 degrees. Now for Saskatoon, -7 today as that high, seeing that snow coming down. Tomorrow -2, little bit of cloud cover in the sky still. But over the weekend, we will start to see those conditions lightening up. 3 degrees on Saturday, 7 on Sunday. Monday reaching 16 and a beautiful day on Tuesday with plenty of sunshine and 21 degrees.
Researchers followed nearly 2 million children in Sweden for more than 30 years to see when autism was diagnosed. They found that boys were more likely to be diagnosed in early childhood, but by age 15, autism was diagnosed at nearly the same rate in girls and boys. That suggests autism in girls may go unrecognized until years later. Early identification can help children with autism get the support and services they need to thrive. So talk with your child's pediatrician if you have concerns, especially if you notice delayed speech, trouble playing or interacting with other children, repetitive behaviors, or strong sensitivity to sounds or routines. These can be signs of autism, so don't wait to ask about an evaluation. With this Medical Minute, I'm Dave Packer.
Health Report, brought to you in part by SEIU West, Saskatchewan's first healthcare union.
In case you missed it, more than a century ago, one of the worst accidents in maritime history unfolded. Just before midnight, the RMS Titanic hit an iceberg and quickly sank to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean on April 15th in 1912. That night, over 1,500 people perished. Many of them wanted to reach Canada. The brothers of Moose Jaw's mayor of that time was on board, along with the British brothers Owen and Louis Brond, who were on their way to Qu'Appelle Valley. None of them made it to their destination. Charles Melville Hayes, a prominent railroad businessman, also perished at sea. But his legacy lives on in Melville, a city named after him.
He wanted to make Melville the hub, and we are the hub between Winnipeg and Vancouver. We are the main hub of the now CN Rail, and we have so much history tied with the railway and Charles Melville Hayes.
His jacket, though not worn on the infamous ship, is now on display at the Melville Heritage Museum.
See, all these things, they have ties to everywhere.
They do.
I had never heard these local connections before. Super interesting.
Also how the Melville Millionaires ended up with their name, Jeremy.
Wow. And now they have been immortalized in the cinematic classic Titanic 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is glorious, and you should all watch immediately.
Yes.
Question of the day. That was a quality callback, JD. I like that. Our question of the day. Producer Nathan came up with this. Then he promptly went on vacation to Mexico where it's not snowing. If you were a baseball player, what would your walk-up song be? So this is the song. You're going up to the plate to bat. Song's playing for all the fans to hear.
This is a great question.
Okay, what is it then? Great question.
Great question. It's a thinker, but I feel like I would go with something by Sabrina Carpenter so that I could think about Kayleen Sawatsky on my way.
Jerry, anything that pops into your mind? I'm thinking you're probably going old school like Ice Cube or Snoop maybe?
Well, it was a Good Day by Ice Cube was the first thing I thought of, but then I thought about it a bit more, and it's What's My Name by Snoop Doggy Dogg. That's the one.
I feel like the chorus from Lightning Crashes might be good, right? I feel like coming back again, right? What is yours?
Man, that's great.
You guys at home, tell us what your walk-up song would be. Let's have some fun today. 10400 is the text line. QR code's on your screen. We got more coming up after this. Here's a look out at the not-so-snowy-yet city of Saskatoon.
Saskatchewan Polytechnic has announced another round of layoffs. The institution says 30 full and part-time employees received layoff notices this month. That includes 18 faculty, 9 professional services employees, and 3 out-of-scope employees. The layoffs are the result of an annual operational review. Sask Poly says it continues to face significant challenges as international enrollment has not rebounded and is not expected to in the next academic year. The school cites reduced federal immigration allowances as a reason for lower international enrollment. It's not known which campuses will be impacted. This is the latest in a string of cuts. Sask Polytechnic has issued dozens of pink slips over the last year. A jury in the U.S. has ruled against Live Nation, saying it had a harmful monopoly over concert venues.
Probably will be a large monetary damage awarded. We'll see what the settlement happens as far as whether that gets approved or not.
Live Nation's the owner of Ticketmaster. Last year, it put on more than 55,000 concerts around the world. The jury found Live Nation is an illegal monopoly, controlling the market to overcharge fans. This verdict could lead to Live Nation and Ticketmaster breaking up. The company may also be forced to pay back some fans who were overcharged. Live Nation's vowing to appeal.
Hello there, Kara Wagland inside the Sports Center newsroom with your must-see moment from Wednesday. And for it, we are off to Champions League. Bayern Munich down 1 against Real Madrid. In the 89th minute, Luis Diaz working the give and go with Jamal Musiala. And he bends it from 20 yards out for a massive goal. An incredible finish by Diaz. Bayern added a 4th goal to cap off the win. For the first time since 2012 between the two clubs, it's Bayern eliminating Real Madrid, and Diaz earns your must-see moment from Wednesday. Coming up tonight on TSN, we got a little MLB on TSN as the Mariners visit the Padres. That gets underway at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on TSN 1, 4, and 5. That's all for now from SportsCenter. Have a great day.
Time to take a look at school day forecast, which is brought to you by CAA School Safety Patrol, working together to keep our school zone safe. In Regina, by the time you get onto the bus, -7, already snowing. By lunchtime, -8, and about 3 p.m. final bell, -6. Over to Saskatoon, a little bit cloudy by the time you get onto the bus, and -9. By lunchtime, -8, and that final bell brings us to -7 and some snow. Here's a look at today's gas prices. In Regina, the common cost to fill up is $169.9. You can find regular fuel for as low as $154.9. Over to Saskatoon now, you can find regular fuel for as low as $171.9, and the lowest you might find is $155.9. Now, for a look at farm markets, the street price of canola is $654.63 per ton, and the futures price is $705.90 per ton. Amber durum wheat is $278.59 per ton, and red spring wheat is $278.65 per ton. And the Canadian dollar begins the day trading at 72.75 cents US. Coming up in about 10 minutes, the Sheepdogs are coming back to Saskatchewan. We'll hear from them.
Good morning. Welcome to your morning. We begin with this. A 61-year-old Canadian man who spent the last 2 decades in the U.S. raising his family is now back in Canada. He was deported after spending 65 days in detention with ICE.
And just as I turned the corner, there they are. There was about 7 or 8 ICE guys, grabbed me right away, threw me up against the wall.
Douglas Dixon was arrested by ICE in February and taken to a detainee post. He moved to Florida in 2005 and got a green card during the COVID pandemic. He was forced to close his smoothie cafe and fell behind in taxes. He ended up pleading no contest to tax evasion and was paying it back, but still owed about $12,000. And under American law, defrauding the government of more than $10,000 is an aggravated felony. So he spent more than 2 months in detention before a judge ordered Dixon to be deported back to Canada and banned him from returning for life.
I didn't think that the United States was going to treat people inhumanely. They do not care about the human condition in those detention centers.
Dixon is now describing what it was like to be inside the detention center known as Alligator Alcatraz, a facility U.S. President Donald Trump has said would house violent criminals. Dixon says from his experience that was not the case. He says the majority of people had jobs and families and were in there for nonsense reasons, he says. Dixon shared a fenced-in cell with 31 other men and says detainees were only allowed to shower every 3 days and got 1 hour of yard time every 4 days. 2 members of the Royal Canadian Navy are facing charges in connection to the death of a sailor. Petty Officer Second Class Gregory Applin died in January 2025 after a boat capsized in the Bedford Basin near Halifax. A small boat called Rib had overturned in the basin. 2 Navy members are now facing charges. Master Sailor David Terry has been charged with criminal negligence causing bodily harm and negligence performance of military duties. Sailor First Class Alexandra Garrison faces the same charge, along with dangerous operation of a conveyance causing death. If the charges lead to trial, it will happen in the military justice system. An Alberta RCMP officer has been cleared of any wrongdoing after shooting at an American man who drove into Canada illegally. Mounties say a U.S. citizen attempted to enter Canada through the Coots border crossing on February 4th last year, but fled after being sent to a secondary inspection. After several lengthy police chases and attempts to stop the vehicle. The man eventually fled on foot toward a residence, armed with a gun. That's when an officer shot at him and sent a police dog after him. The suspect eventually died by suicide. The Alberta Serious Incident Response Team determined the officer's use of force in the case was necessary and reasonable. Nearly 3,000 people representing the province's mining industry in Saskatoon for the Saskatchewan Mining and Supply Chain Forum, marking all in attendance. It's a record for them. 2026 marks 18 years of the event in Saskatchewan. In addition to a series of guest speakers, more than 380 vendors were represented at the accompanying trade show.
We have more mining investment in Saskatchewan. It's going to be close to $7 billion than this year, than Ontario, than Quebec, than BC. So Saskatchewan is where it's at for mining right now. And that's another reason that we've seen the success of this event.
The two-day forum wraps up tomorrow with the Premier scheduled to make a keynote speech. A new record low in provincial workplace injury rates has been reported. However, the number of fatalities have stayed the same compared to a year ago. The time lost when a workplace injury is reported dropped by 67% in 2002, according to the Saskatchewan Workers' Compensation Board. Although 89% of Saskatchewan workplaces reported zero injuries and fatalities, there were 27 workers who died in the workplace injury from same time in 2024. The board says the new historic low for injuries is now combined. It is the combined efforts, rather, of employees, workers, and safety associations.
We're very confident in the future of WCB and how we're investing in strategic initiatives where we hope to reduce the cost of claims, reduce the number of claims, continue to do well in our investment.
So operating as an insurance company, the WCB aims to protect workers and employees from workplace injuries while aiming to reduce the number of injury claims and cost of claims. Findings from the report covered more than 470,000 full-time equivalent workers in the province. A helium shortage due to the conflict in the Middle East is having widespread effects, including here at home. Local business Balloon Bar in Regina, Balloon Bar YQR, have been forced to adjust due to the shortage and the rising cost of helium. According to the business's owner, a tank of helium shot up from around $200 to around $1,200, and that has forced the store to shift their thinking.
So we got about an hour's notice that we were no longer going to be getting helium. We were told that everything is going to be diverted to medical use only, and so we had this moment of, okay, we either like crumble and end our business, or we pivot and we figure out how to make this work.
Dietrich, you just heard from there, says the business has made the decision to launch an exclusive air-filled balloon collection and has no plans to go back to relying on helium. City of Regina is launching its 2026 Gopher Control Program. The city says it's in an effort to reduce damage caused by gopher holes in areas across the city, especially outdoor spaces. So you'll see yellow warning signs in affected areas. You're asked to avoid those locations and keep children and pets away while treatment is underway. 42 spots will be treated this year and monitored for several weeks. The program begins this week, I guess weather dependent, and will continue over the coming weeks. The Prince Albert Raiders have advanced to the Eastern Conference Final.
Firing. Tees it up. Rudolph a shot. It gets in behind. Gardner and into the net. It squeaks in.
The Raiders scored 4 goals in the first period and held on for a 5-3 win over the Saskatoon Blades last night. Daxon Rudolph's 5th of the playoffs stood up as the game winner. The Raiders advanced to the conference final where they will take on the powerhouse Medicine Hat Tigers, who swept aside the Calgary Hitmen. Our attention turns to the weather center. Before we get into those conditions, and the roads are treacherous in some parts of the province, let's talk about going to maybe Italy.
That's right. Some warmer temperatures get you out of these cold, snowy ones. CTV Your Morning with CAA Travel and Colette Tours wants to send you and a guest on a 12-day Italy's treasure trip of a lifetime. Experience incredible history, culture, and cuisine across northern Italy from October 18th to 29th. You can enter online now at ctvsaskatoon.ca or ctvregina.ca and include today's keyword, which is Venice, for a chance to win. Good luck. All right, now back to these cold temperatures. Behind me here on our morning view, we are seeing lots of precipitation in the form of some fog, a little bit of snow, and even some freezing rain. This temperature isn't looking too bad quite yet, but again, those wind speeds will be making it feel much cooler. We're at about -7 here in the city, those 33-kilometer-per-hour winds moving through. And again, that snow beginning a little bit sooner than what we're seeing over in Saskatoon. -9, 35-kilometer-per-hour winds as well. So again, very windy day. We can expect to see that last throughout the entire day. Now let's move over to our futurecast. We can see that system rolling through the province here. There still is the snowfall warning in effect. Again, 10 to 15 centimeters is generally expected, but those heavier bands of snow could reach about 25 centimeters. The precipitation should come to an end by this evening, a little bit later on here in the night, as you can see, and early into tomorrow morning. Again, for these snowfall amounts, Saskatoon seeing about 18 centimeters, Swift Current 17, Moose Jaw 19, Yorkton still seeing the most at about 25 centimeters. Now for our current temperatures, Buffalo Narrows is at -18, Stony Rapids -25, Spiritwood -9, Nipawin -14, Melfort and Hudson Bay both at -13. Kindersley -10, East End -5, Estevan -3, Wynyard at -11. For our highs today, still seeing that snow across the board. The Battlefords -5 for their high, Swift Current -6 along with Moose Jaw. Weyburn and Estevan both at -1 and Yorkton -8. Now for our 5-day forecast to give us a little bit of hope on this snowy day. -6 for Regina today as that high, but tomorrow starting to see things lighten up a little bit. -5 for Friday. Over the weekend is when we start to see these temperatures climb just a little bit. 2 degrees on Saturday, 7 on Sunday, and seeing plenty more sunshine. Monday will reach a high of about 16 rather. Now over to Saskatoon, -7 here today, -2 tomorrow, seeing those clouds still in the sky. On Saturday, 3 degrees. Sunday sitting at about 7 and 1 degree as that low. On Monday now, 16 degrees, and we will be seeing more sunshine as well to kick off a new week.
Nobody but you is gonna see me through. Nobody but me. That's how it's supposed to be, yeah.
That is Nobody But You from the album Keep Out of the Storm. It is the newest album from the Sheepdogs, and we are so happy to have Ryan Gullen and Ewan Curry joining us today. And whose basement was that?
It's funny. We were playing in Halifax at the arena, and a whole film crew came in and built that basement in one of the hockey dressing rooms. So pretty impressive. They got that all wrapped up in one day. I mean, they just have to and shoot a thing with them.
Well, very impressed.
Basement. Yeah,
it did. Seriously, I thought it was like, well, maybe it's shot here in Saskatoon in somebody's, family home. You never know. The album has got a lot of great tracks on it, but I want to talk about the title track and obviously the name of the album, Keep Out of the Storm. I believe it has been endorsed by the Television Weather Presenter Guild over and above that. Is there that title? Can be interpreted many different ways. Ewan, was there a specific sort of point you were making with that, or is it meant to be interpreted a million different ways?
I love when stuff can be interpreted a million ways. Like, I think that music is like an interactive art form, choose your own adventure. There's nothing worse than thinking that a lyric means one thing and then you learn it means something completely different, because it's more fun to misinterpret something. But yeah, I mean, we live in Canada. It's a stormy place weather-wise, but also life is perilous and a challenge. And so there's many storms, literal and figurative, in this world.
You were on the road. You guys were on the road starting in November, but the album came out at the end of February. Ryan, when you were on the road overseas, I believe you were in Europe back in November, was the album already locked and loaded, or were you able to sort of try out some of the songs and say, hey, this makes the album, this doesn't make the album? Did touring, back 6 months ago, impact the album before it came out?
Not necessarily. I mean, their album's been recorded since last summer, but we did start playing a little bit of stuff on the road to kind of throw it out there. So it's always fun to get those new ones, get some sea legs on them and see how people feel about it. But yeah, for the most part, a lot of these songs we only started playing once the record came out. So it's been really fun, though. I mean, it's a nice part of the evolution where you get to, make the songs in the studio and then sort of get them out there and see how people are reacting to them, for sure.
We're just about out of time right now. I know you're going to be in Saskatoon on the 18th, 19th in Yorkton, and on the 25th in Regina. Just before we go, I know I'm putting you on the spot here. There's so many great choices, but do you have a favorite weather song?
I don't know if I have a favorite song that's specifically about weather, but I got a good memory of Ryan and I were driving up in Saskatchewan summertime about 20 plus years ago to see my friend. She was working at a fishing camp up in Mississippi, and it was storming, big summer storm, lightning, rain. This is broad daylight. And we listened to Jimi Hendrix's Electric Ladyland record front to back as it's just storming or ripping down the highway. And it was epic. It's one of the best memories I have of Saskatchewan in my entire life.
Yeah, that was a pretty amazing one, and a rare occurrence when you're driving north of L'Orange. So it was a wild time.
Right on. It's a good note to end on. Thanks again, guys. Look forward to having you back in Saskatchewan, Ryan Gullen and Ewan Curry, two members of the Sheepdogs, and we're so happy you're back on the road and coming back home. So we'll see you then.
Yeah, see you.
Cheers. Thanks, Jeff.
Adios.
Now, let's check in with Mike Siona, who is spending the morning with some majestic animals. Mike?
We are here at KNS Clydesdales, just outside of Saskatoon, and it's not Kristen and Shane who are the majestic animals, but rather world champion Apollo here. And you get an opportunity, if you're in the Saskatoon region, to see Apollo. And we've got Jackson right behind Coop. Watch out. Yeah, the 8-day-old Clydesdale just saying hello. He wants to be on here. So Shane's going to go do that. And Kristen, this is what happens when we have an open house in live television. Talk to me about these horses.
These horses, we have been raising black and white Clydesdales for the last few years, and they bring us nothing but joy. Over the years, of course, with transportation, their numbers went down, and now people are looking for opportunities outside of, maybe cities and their normal day-to-day lives to touch base with some animals, maybe learn to ride them, to drive them. There's so much to do with them now.
No doubt about it. And then this weekend, Shane, you're opening it up here. We're in Grand Dora. I think it took us about 15 minutes to drive here, if that.
15 minutes just west of Saskatoon, and we're in Grand Dora. Saturday is 11 to 6 p.m. It's an open house. We're going to have a hot dog sale and a concession stand. All the money's going to Clydesdale Association, and come on out and meet the big giants. And we even got a couple babies.
They are big giants. I mean, he's Apollo here's about 1,500 pounds as he stands?
Yeah. Absolutely, yes. He's a big boy, has a little bit more growing to do. He's only 6 years old, but he's a big guy.
It's really, really cool. Jackson's 8 days old. He's running around here. We'll introduce you to Jackson a little bit later on. We're going to talk about Clydesdales. They truly, truly are majestic. You don't get a sense of just how until you're standing right beside them. So this weekend, a great opportunity for you to come out here and experience something that's literally just outside the city.
All right, Mike, majestic is right. Can't wait to see a little bit more throughout the morning.
It's April 16th, and we have these milestones to share with you. Happy 7th birthday to Emma Rose. Your grandma and grandpa love you and hope you enjoy your special day. And happy birthday to Jackson, with lots of love from your mom and dad.
Milestones, brought to you by Harbor Landing Village, an award-winning senior care and living community in Regina.
If you have a milestone coming up, you can send us an email at yourmorningsaskatchewan@ctv.ca, or you can scan that QR code on your screen. Please make sure to send them at least one day in advance.
by your studio yesterday, brought Brandon a Slurpee. I was wearing shorts and a T-shirt. It is cold out there now. I feel like maybe it was my fault.
Yeah, you're in our top 3 suspects for sure there. You had to push it, right? Couldn't have just wore pants for one extra day. But.
Just a little bit cocky. What's going on over there today?
We're talking about some new technology out there. This one, great if anyone hates getting needles, which I think that should be everybody. And this is essentially swapping needles, shots of vaccines for a pint. Science literally said, hold my beer, watch this. So it's essentially the equivalent of, you know, how you hide your dog's medication in cheese. It's like that, but for humans and with beer. So we'll tell you all about that magical technology on the way. Plus, I know we're talking a lot of snow in winter, but also Taste of Spring is coming up this weekend, and we do have a 6-pack of tickets to give away. You can enter at purecountry927.ca. It's your last day to do so.
Time magazine has released its Time 100 list of the most influential people of the year. The list includes musicians Jenny and Hilary Duff, actors Kate Hudson and Sterling K. Brown, and Olympians Alyssa Liu, Hilary Knight, and Chloe Kim.
Goes for a shot.
Yes, Mom always said don't play ball in the house, but what about visiting the house for some awesome photo ops? Beginning in May, the actual Brady Bunch house, which has been meticulously recreated, is opening its doors up to visitors. You can join the wait list for tickets now at bucketlisters.com. Proceeds go to Wags and Walks, a nonprofit dog rescue in Los Angeles. Madonna is heading back to the club. Confessions 2, described as a continuation of her Grammy-winning album Confessions on a Dance Floor, will be out on July 3rd. It's the Queen of Pop's first new studio album since 2019's Madam X. And Stranger Things star Sadie Sink is 24 today. That's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Alex Stone, ABC News.
Yeah, you might have been.
Before we get to the video, does your partner love or hate surprises, Janelle?
He likes them.
Likes them?
Yeah.
Jeremy?
No.
Nope, not a surprise person. Well, this one, a little bit diabolical. Take a look. Has been to Salzburg, Austria on a Sound of Music bus tour, but she does not tell him it's a 5-hour-long sing-along tour. Realization is starting to sink in, and he does not look too pleased.
Holy.
I wouldn't tell him either.
This is a dream.
All right, Janelle, what do you got for us?
All right, well, with warmer weather, hopefully around the corner.
That we used to have.
that had yesterday, you might soon find yourself busting this move at the pool.
Happens.
Yeah, so moving across the pool unlocked this man's, of course, inner ballet dancer. Can you relate? And why do we do such funny things when we're in the swimming pool?
Because you try to get from A to B. That's
yeah, that's the quickest way to do it.
That's
most efficient.
You hop,
yep,
or you dive under, and you don't want to. And this guy doesn't want to wreck that hair.
No, of course.
That's some high quality. He put some time into that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Speaking of time,
effort.
Time for a timeout. We'll be back right after this. Thursday, April 16th.
It's not fair and it's not warranted, and there's other ways they can go about getting their information instead of slamming one worker, one individual, multiple times in the press.
The Saskatchewan Government and General Employees Union upset over NDP comments surrounding a misconduct allegation from a former member in the Saskatchewan Marshal Service.
We're very confident in the future of WCB.
When it comes to workplace safety in Saskatchewan, the downward trend continues, but not when it comes to fatalities.
Roaring. Tees it up. Rudolph a shot. It gets in behind. Gardner and into the net. It squeaks in.
And the Raiders advance. The Blades are off to the golf course. Stay with us, Saskatchewan. Your morning starts right now. Welcome to Your Morning Saskatchewan. I'm Daryl.
And I'm Janelle. Thanks for being back with us.
Another wintry blast here in Saskatchewan, Janelle.
That's right. Let's show you the video from Prince Albert. That's what it looks like April 16th.
Of course it does.
Yes.
Every April 16th, I think, mounds of snow.
This is what you want to see when you look out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they will have road crews out this morning. It's all part of this yellow snowfall warning. As the system moves its way through, we're expecting really anywhere from 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. Some pockets could get up to about 25 centimeters, and it should ease up by tonight.
That's a pretty big swath of Saskatchewan. Reminder for your roads, let's take a look at the highway hotline. This is an updated look. We've got more travel not recommended. That's in and around the Mossbank area on those highways. And of course, it remains in effect along the Manitoba border. Anything in red is snow-covered conditions. So we'll stay tuned for Janelle's forecast, which we cannot blame her for. She's just the messenger in about 8 minutes' time. A cheerful Liberal Party welcomed its newest members yesterday, celebrating their new majority government.
Canadians have placed their trust in the government's plan. We now have reinforcements to help implement that, and we're going to go straight to work.
Prime Minister Mark Carney hosted his first caucus meeting since winning a majority, ushering in the 3 newly elected MPs, the latest floor crosser, Marilyn Gladu as well, front and center. The Liberals secured 174 seats after 5 floor crossings and winning all 3 of those by-elections. The Conservatives appear to be focusing on the future, supporting their leader, Pierre Poilievre.
Caucus is united and united behind a leader that has a vision.
Our caucus is united behind Pierre Poilievre.
Pierre Poilievre and our Conservative colleagues are the last hope to save our country. That's why we're united.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says he has no plans to resign. 4 of the 5 floor crossers were from his party, and the numbers in Monday's by-election show the Conservative vote share falling. The Conservative candidate in Terrebonne captured roughly 3% of the vote, which was a 15% drop. The Saskatchewan Government and General Employees Union upset over NDP comments surrounding misconduct allegations involving the Marshal Service. Now, last summer, an unidentified marshal resigned, and a NDP MLA filed a Freedom of Information request looking for records related to that investigation. The NDP spoke about the issue on Friday, saying that the government refused to provide any information, seeking transparency on what happened. The SGEU released a statement yesterday saying that the allegations involving individual workers must be handled through appropriate processes through collective bargaining.
We represent our members, and I think our main concern right now is the reputational damage that this is trying to cause for the marshals. And it's not fair, and it's not warranted, and there's other ways they can go about getting their information instead of slamming one worker, one individual, multiple times in the press.
Unidentified marshal resigned from the service last summer. Let's bring in Jeremy Dodge. Jeremy's the Saskatoon Fire Department says it's responded to 195 overdose calls in the last 2 weeks alone.
Yeah, Daryl, and it's a spike that prompted a Ministry of Health alert on Monday, warning of a higher risk of overdose in Saskatoon. Then the ministry says it doesn't know what substance is causing them, because in the past, the province sometimes shared descriptions and images of drugs using information from a drug checking machine operated by Prairie Harm Reduction. That service was lost when the site was closed. The chief operations officer at the Saskatoon Community Clinic says that information was critical, and without it, responders don't know what they're dealing with or whether naloxone will work, since it's only effective for opioid overdoses. Well, for residents in the northern half of the province, it is starting to feel like winter's never going to loosen its grip. Another system packing a punch, and many areas are not quite done with snow clearing so far. As Jasmine Peltier tells us, what's happening in Prince Alberton area is a preview of what could lie ahead for others.
We've been up here about 20 years. And we've never seen as much snow as we've had this winter.
Candle Lake resident Donna Litzenberger woke up this morning to see the snow had risen around her home.
It sticks to the shovel, or it sticks up to the snowblower and kind of bungs it up. So it's also very heavy, so hard on the back. got to do just a little bit at a time.
Environment Canada says that some areas in central Saskatchewan still have more than 70 centimeters of snow on the ground. Recent mild temperatures have made the snow heavy, dense, and tough to clear.
Often easier to move this stuff as soon as it happens because it's fluffy, it hasn't compacted, there hasn't been this freezing and refreezing.
While Prince Albert has less snow than communities north of the tree line, snow clearing is still an ongoing process. Environment Canada says Prince Albert usually sees about 10 centimeters of snowfall during the month of April. But halfway through the month, the city has already received twice that. Prince Albert's annual operating budget for snow management was approved at about $1.5 million. The city of Prince Albert hasn't confirmed a cost for clearing operations so far, but provided CTV with a statement saying snow clearing costs are closely monitored and we regularly review spending as part of our budget oversight. As operations are still ongoing, we're not able to share a specific amount at this stage. The city manages its budget with a reserve in order to provide additional budget if needed for busy winter maintenance seasons. 3 centimeters fell in Prince Albert on Wednesday, with more expected headed into Thursday. The area has a 43-centimeter snowpack. Only time will tell how much snow residents can expect to see remaining on May 1st. Jasmine Pelche, CTV News, Prince Albert.
All right, Daryl, back to you with a wrap-up from the Suma convention in Regina.
Jeremy, thank you. More than half of Saskatchewan residents now live in large urban centres, as you know, and services in those communities are coming under further strain.
There should be some type of input of money to help us with doing that from those who prosper from that entity or other entities like that or other assets like that that serve both Regina, the community, and the outliers.
The province says it's not leaving rural communities in the dust and will not force any community into amalgamation with another town or surrounding RM, but they would support a transition for any community who does not see traditional urban governance as sustainable. Similar to cities, some small towns are facing financial constraints as provincial and federal dollars are allocated to bigger places.
Big cities received $14 million for infrastructure projects that they're doing. That helps build them, yay on them. What is the plans for communities between 100 and 5,000?
While forced amalgamation is off the table, the government says it is constantly searching for ways to improve cooperation. Saskatchewan Polytechnic has announced another round of layoffs. The institution says 30 full-time and part-time employees received layoff notices this month. That includes 18 faculty, 9 professional services employees, and 3 out-of-scope employees. The layoffs are a result of an annual operational review. Sask Poly says it continues to face significant challenges as international enrollment has not rebounded and is not expected to in the next academic year. The school cites reduced federal immigration allowances as a reason for lower international enrollment. It's not known which campuses will be impacted. This is the latest in a string of cuts Sask Polytech has issued. Dozens of pink slips over the last year. We've got a conversation coming up with Dr. Jeff Keshin from the University of Regina at 8:40 on this very thing. While negotiations between Iran and the U.S. are moving slowly, the leaders of Israel and Lebanon are expected to engage in diplomatic talks today. The president posting overnight trying to get a little breathing room between Israel and Lebanon. It has been a long time since the two leaders have spoken, like 34 years. With attempts at diplomacy stalled, the struggle for control over the Strait of Hormuz continues. The U.S. military says it has turned back 10 ships since launching its blockade. In response, yesterday, Iran threatened to block shipping from the Persian Gulf, the Sea of Oman, and the Red Sea if that blockade continues. Currently, negotiations between the U.S. and Iran are at a standstill, with Iran's foreign ministry saying no specific dates have been set for a new round of peace talks. The current truce took effect on April 8th after 40 days of fighting. Lengthy talks were held in Pakistan, but no agreement was reached. Russia unleashed its deadliest attack in the year on Ukraine, targeting Kyiv and other cities overnight, killing at least 16 and wounding many others. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says Russia launched a huge wave of attacks, nearly 700 drones, as well as 19 ballistic and other cruise missiles. Russia claims it was attacked as well, with 2 children being killed in a Ukrainian drone strike. The attacks come after a short ceasefire over Orthodox Easter weekend, although both sides accused one another of hundreds of violations. Allbirds is pivoting from shoes to AI, and investors appear to be impressed. Allbirds was founded in 2015 as a sustainable shoe company. After a quick start, its stock began slumping. Like any struggling company, it was time for a change. So Allbirds decided to make a hard turn and become an AI computer infrastructure business. After the announcement, shares went from $3 a share to about $17. That's a 580% increase. The SJHL final is now set. The Flin Flon Bombers will face the Yorkton Terriers for the title starting Friday. There's a look at the scoreboard. The Bombers beat the Weyburn Red Wings 1-0 in Game 7 last night. And the Yorkton Terriers rode a strong surge in their third period in a 6-3 win to advance as well over the Battlefords. Let's get over to the Weather Center and show you a picture. Manny from Englefield, Saskatchewan, caught the robins returning to his yard. And the robins might be thinking it's time to maybe go home. They got here a little early because now there's snow probably on those grass.
Yeah, it's not looking quite like that here today, and it won't for at least a couple more days. But the good news is we will be seeing some relief next week. Let's take a look here at our morning view. You can see that snow beginning to fall. We are still seeing about -7 for our current temperature. So again, not terrible temperatures, but those wind speeds are quite high, and that will be what makes it feel colder. Here in Regina, those winds are at about 28 kilometers per hour. Over to Saskatoon, seeing a little bit more visibility in the sky, minus 10 rather, as that current temperature, 44 kilometers per hour for the wind speeds. And that snow is expected to start a little bit later on here this afternoon. Now let's take a look at our futurecast. So we can see that system rolling through. We are still under that snowfall warning. 10 to 15 centimeters is generally expected, but that heavier band of snow could reach anywhere to about 25 centimeters. So it should come to a halt here this evening, but a snowy day ahead of us. It's going to feel pretty chilly too, so bundle up when you're heading out here today. Now let's take a deeper look at some of these total snowfall amounts. Swift Current at about 14 centimeters, Saskatoon at 18 centimeters, Regina 16 along with Moose Jaw, and Yorkton still the highest at about 25 centimeters. So it is going to get pretty snowy out there. These temperatures right now a little bit cool. Buffalo Narrows -17, Stony Rapids -24, Spiritwood -10, Nipawin and Melfort both at -14, Swift Current -8, Yorkton -10, Wynyard -11, Estevan sitting at about -4. Now for our highs today, still seeing that snow all across the province. The Battlefords will be reaching about -4 for their high. Swift Current and Moose Jaw both -6. Yorkton -8, Estevan and Weyburn -1. Now for our 7-day forecast, we've got -6 today as our high. Again, seeing that snow sticking around for most of today. Tomorrow, -5. Saturday, finally starting to see a little bit more sunshine coming out with 2 degrees as that high. Sunday, 7, and Monday, we're reaching about 16 degrees. Over to Saskatoon now, -7 today, seeing that snowfall, and tomorrow still some cloud cover in the sky. -2 as Friday's high. Now Saturday, 3 degrees, starting to see that sunshine returning. 7 on Sunday. Now next week, universally beautiful week ahead of us. 16 degrees on Monday for Saskatoon and surrounding areas. 21 degrees on Tuesday, seeing that sun sticking around. 20 on Wednesday, but a little bit more cloud cover in the sky. Time for today's rural forecast. Lloydminster at -4 along with Spiritwood. Hudson Bay -6. Wynyard sitting at about -8. East End and Maple Creek both at -4. Kenora -9. Broadview -8. And we've got Carlisle -4. Now let's take a look at Yellowgrass, where internet speeds up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel. Reaching that high of about -4 here today. Of course, seeing that light snow coming down, that will last for majority of today. Those winds are at about 10 to 30 kilometers per hour.
Let's go back out to Mike Siona now, setting up an open house in Grandora this weekend. Mike.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are here at K&S Clydesdale with Kristen and Shane Arthurs and our newest little guy here, Jackson. Kristen, we'll start with you, see if we can get this mic over to there without it getting bitten. Tell me about Jackson.
Jackson was born on April the 6th, and he is the first offspring of our other stallion, Jack, so we're pretty proud of him. And Apollo, that you may have seen in the segment earlier, this is his mom, so these two are a little bit related.
There you go, half brothers, which is cool. Shane, how many different Clydesdales are going to be here, and what's happening this weekend on Saturday specifically with this open house?
This weekend at our open house, we're going to show off 2 of our babies. We got 5 coming more yet, but we're going to have an open house with a hot dog sale, concession stand, and we're going to show off probably a whole bunch of our Clydes. You can ride a Clyde for $5. Going to have some wagon rides, and all the money goes to the Sask Clyde Association. We're going to have some fun and show off these big giants, and come on out and join us.
There you go. That's my buddy Jackson there. How you doing, my friend? How are you, Jackson? Yes, I'd ask you a question, but I know you're just going to eat the mic flash. That's what horses do. It's pretty cool to see this interaction between, you know, the new foal and the mother. Let's just talk quickly about the Clydesdale Association here, Kristen, because these are registered Clydes, and it's such a passion project for you guys, but the coloration, they're black and white.
Yes, we breed the black and whites, but also people will breed the bays that you kind of normally see in the Budweiser Clydesdales. But the association is definitely needing new members and more members to get acquainted with these big horses and hopefully promote it. People can learn to ride them, drive them, or just have them as a pet in their yard.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys very much. We got one more segment, see what else we can find here. But again, the open house right here in Grandora. Just search for Saskatchewan Clydesdale Association. You'll see it. The QR code leads you right here. That's how we got here, so you can do it too. Just make sure you only come during the open house hours.
Fair, Mike. Thank you. Truly amazing animals. We'll see you in a couple more, or a little bit more this morning at some point anyway.
Hello there, Kara Wagland inside the Sports Center newsroom with your must-see moment from Wednesday. And for it, we are off to Champions League. Bayern Munich down 1 against Real Madrid. In the 89th minute, Luis Diaz working the give and go with Jamal Musiala. And he bends it from 20 yards out for a massive goal. An incredible finish by Diaz. Bayern added a 4th goal to cap off the win. For the first time since 2012 between the two clubs, it's Bayern eliminating Real Madrid, and Diaz earns your must-see moment from Wednesday. Coming up tonight on TSN, we got a little MLB on TSN as the Mariners visit the Padres. That gets underway at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on TSN 1, 4, and 5. That's all for now from SportsCenter. Have a great day.
If you thought vinyl was dead, think again. It turns out more and more people are looking to drop the needle on a fresh record.
Digital detox creates a moment, which I think that digital world cannot compete against. Because when you put a vinyl on, all of a sudden everything is aligned with this. You need to, switch side at some point, and then you just put the needle on, and so it's about a moment.
Being called the vinyl revival, with sales only going up. Each and every year they go up. It's the fastest selling hard copy media. At Drummond Vinyl in Quebec, staff can't keep up with the demand. And according to Music Canada, vinyl sales jumped 240% since 2019. Record Store Day is this Saturday. The day typically sees labels and artists push rare and limited edition reissues only on vinyl.
Wow.
Have you listened to a record before?
I actually have a record player.
You do? I as well have one. We listen to one every night. Jerry, you seem like a vinyl guy.
I understand.
No?
I don't get it. I'm like, kill all physical media. Give me everything digital. I don't understand it. I'm all for nostalgia. I just don't get the vinyl thing. Sorry. People say it sounds better.
You continue to surprise me, Jeremy. We're back with your morning mystery, and Jeremy seems to be one for me. Right after this short time out. All right, can't figure out Jeremy Dodge. Let's see if I can figure out our morning mystery this morning. We got 3 clues for you. Here we go. Janelle's going to take her earpiece out.
Out it goes.
This tool's history dates back to approximately 5000 BC in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia.
You're joking.
I'm not.
More, please.
It typically comprises a blade fixed to a handle with dimensions and materials varying by type. And clue number 3, there is an old wives' tale that says one of these with a curved handle will bring you good luck when you garden. So it's a garden tool. Does that narrow it down for you, Janelle?
Like, not even a little bit. But
You're not a gardener?
No, I've never had my own garden before. But maybe this will inspire me.
Okay.
I'm going to say, what do you call those?
Draw it. If you can't write it, draw it.
I'm going to draw it for you guys.
Interpret. I like the interpretation.
I'm taking a wild guess here, but I have 2 answers.
Okay. Jeremy's got 2. Janelle's got half an answer.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, go. That would be a trowel.
Is this right?
A trowel.
Oh.
Sometimes they have a bladed edge on the side.
Is a trowel?
Yeah.
That's a trowel. That's I got it right.
I think that's accurate. I'll give you half points for sure. Half points all around.
Oh, thank you. I'll take it.
That was today's morning mystery.
Studio consideration provided by Father's Furniture, specializing in quality Canadian-made furniture.
It's actually a good drawing. If we're going to play Pictionary, I'm picking Janelle, I think.
I'm impressed.
It's a pretty good one.
Very good.
Question of the day, if you're a baseball player, what would your walk-up song be? The song that plays while you're going up to bat.
Yeah, we've been getting some good answers and lots of great songs being sent. Blair, who says Eye of the Tiger, which is a classic, of course.
Rock and Roll, probably Part 2 by Gary Glitter from Fabian. That's a classic hockey playoff song.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Hockey playoff song.
What else do we have here? We've got a couple more. Center Field, another
That's
classic.
a baseball song.
Yes, it is.
There you go, John Fogerty.
Yeah. And we've also got Wild Things here by Margie.
Ah, yes.
The Trogs, you got to have the Trogs. Thunderstruck.
Yep.
That seems like it should be for you since you're in the weather center today.
Snowstruck.
Well, John Denver.
Yeah.
How about that?
Oh, that's a good one, though.
You'd love to listen to it on a record if you liked records.
Okay, this one's my personal favorite. I wish I would have thought of this, Donna. Of course, some Shania Twain.
Man, I feel like a home run.
That's right. There is still time to send in your answers to We Love Hearing From You. You can scan that QR code that's about to pop up here on your screen. You can also text 10400. Standard message and data rates may apply. There we go. We will show you some more answers next hour.
It brings us around to our school day forecast.
That's right. All right, so School Day Forecast is brought to you by CAA, School Safety Patrol, working together to keep our school zone safe. In Regina, by the time you get onto the bus, -8. Sticking around, -8 by lunchtime and final bell, -6, and still seeing that snowfall. In Saskatoon, -10 by the time you get onto the bus. By lunch, -8. That final bell brings us to -7. Let's take a look at gas prices now. In Regina, the common cost to fill up is $169.9. You can find regular fuel for as low as $154.9. And over in Saskatoon, the common cost is $171.9, and the lowest you might find is $155.9. Taking a look now at farm markets, the street price of canola is $654.63 per ton. That futures price is $705.90 per ton. Amber Durham wheat is $278.59 per ton, and red spring wheat is $278.65 per ton. The Canadian dollar begins the day trading at 72.75 cents US.
Good morning, it is 7:31. Welcome to, what is this, February 38th at this point? Let's get to news. A lot of snow out there. A 61-year-old Canadian man who spent the last 2 decades in the U.S. raising his family is now back in Canada after being deported after spending 65 days in ICE detention.
Then just as I turned the corner, there they are. There was about 7 or 8 ICE guys, grabbed me right away, threw me up against the wall.
Douglas Dixon was arrested by ICE in February and taken to a detainee center. He had moved to Florida in 2005 and got a green card. During the COVID pandemic, he was forced to close his smoothie cafe, fell behind in his taxes, ended up pleading no contest to tax evasion and was paying it back. Still owed about $12,000, and under American law, defrauding the government of more than $10,000 is an aggravated felony. He spent more than 2 months in detention before a judge ordered Dixon to be deported to Canada and banned him from returning for life.
I didn't think that the United States was going to treat people inhumanely. They do not care about the human condition in those detention centers.
Dixon is now describing what it's like to be inside the detention center known as Alligator Alcatraz, a facility the U.S. president has said would only house violent criminals. Dixon says from his experience that was not the case. He said the majority of people had jobs and families and were in there for nonsense reasons. Dixon shared he was fenced-in cell with 39 other men. Says detainees were only allowed to shower every 3 days, got an hour of yard time every 4 days. Canadians are hoping for relief at the gas pump and the federal government moving to remove taxes temporarily, but not everyone in Saskatchewan is celebrating that decision. Federal tax reduction is expected to lower gas prices by about 10 cents a litre throughout the summer. It begins on Monday. Drivers like the savings, especially with daily commutes adding up. But the Premier applauding the federal government's move to help Canadians, but he wouldn't comment on eliminating the provincial gas tax. He says his government is looking at other ways to move on affordability.
I think anything that lowers the price of gas would definitely help. I mean, my vehicle went from about $130 or $120 up to, I think it was $183 the other day.
I think we need actually more than gas prices reduced, to be honest, but that will help.
Doesn't impact me very much. I drive an electric vehicle.
All right, so global oil prices will continue to drive costs. A new record low in provincial workplace injury rates has been reported. However, the number of fatalities has stayed the same compared to last year. The time lost when a workplace injury is reported dropped by 67% since 2002. Now, according to the Saskatchewan Workers' Compensation Board's report they released yesterday. Although 89% of Saskatchewan workplaces reported 0 injuries and fatalities, there were 27 workers who died from workplace injury or illness, the same as 2024. The board says the new historic low for injuries is a combined effort of workers, employers, and safety associations.
We're very confident in the future of WCB and how we're investing in strategic initiatives where we hope to reduce the cost of claims, reduce the number of claims, continue to do well in our investment.
Operating as an insurance company, the WCB aims to protect workers and employees from workplace injuries. A new exhibit at the Cumberland Gallery in the Legislative Building is shining a spotlight on Saskatchewan's modern-day military stories. The Royal United Services Institute has launched Who Wears the Uniform, an exhibit featuring the stories of 10 Saskatchewan people who served in the Canadian Armed Forces. Each piece shares experiences ranging from deployments in Afghanistan and Bosnia to fighting wildfires and intercepting drug shipments at sea. The exhibit also spotlights trailblazers, including one of Canada's first female snowbird pilots, as well as Indigenous service members.
There's a thread that runs through all of these stories, and that is of sacrifice and the willingness to serve. The reasons vary, but in everybody there is a pride in what they do, and all of the reasons for serving Canada are so inspiring.
What I hope for visitors to take away after they see this display is the stories that are told, and to see the people from all the farms, the cities and towns from Saskatchewan that were from all those towns, and we did serve for this country.
The exhibit runs until May 15th at the Cumberland Gallery. Then it'll move to the RCMP Heritage Centre until September 5th. The Prince Albert Raiders have advanced to the Eastern Conference Final.
Oiring tees it up. Rudolph a shot. It gets in behind Gardner and into the net. It squeaks in.
Raiders scored 4 goals in the first period, held on for a 5-3 win over the Saskatoon Blades. Daxon Rudolph's 5th of the playoffs stood up as the game winner. That's Heisey's first of the playoffs right there, by the way. The Raiders advanced to the conference final, where they will take on the Medicine Hat Tigers, who swept the Calgary Hitmen.
When the U.S. and Iran may be extended, the markets continue their massive surge of the past 2 weeks. The TSX is just off its pre-war record high. The NASDAQ is on its longest positive run in a half decade, set a high on Wednesday. Oil is continuing its downward trend, with West Texas Intermediate in the low 90s. Canada's interprovincial trade barriers may leave the country in the dust when it comes to driverless transport trucks from Volvo, at least, which are powered by technology with Canadian roots, including from Toronto-based Waabi. Waabi CEO Raquel Erdison says Canada's uneven regulatory environment for autonomous vehicles puts the country at risk of falling behind in adopting the technology. The White House says it is withholding judgment on a proposal by United Airlines to merge with rival American Airlines, a tie-up that would raise significant antitrust concerns. However, some members of Congress are weighing in. My advice to United, don't even try, says Senator Richard Blumenthal, who sits on the Judiciary Committee, which oversees antitrust laws. Those are your morning business headlines. For BNN Bloomberg, I'm Roger Peterson.
CTV Your Morning with CAA Travel and Colette Tours wants to send you and a guest on a 12-day Italy's treasure trip of a lifetime. Experience incredible history, culture, and cuisine across northern Italy, October 18th to 29th. You can enter online now at ctvsaskatoon.ca or ctvregina.ca and include today's keyword, which is Venice, for a chance to win. Good luck. Now time for some cold weather reports. We are looking not so great out here in Regina. Visibility isn't great either. We are seeing that snow begin to fall, -8 currently. Those wind speeds pretty high at about 33 kilometers per hour. Over to Saskatoon now, a little bit of a clearer start to the day, -10 for the current temperature. Those wind speeds even higher though at 41 kilometers per hour. So make sure you're bundling up today because the temperatures aren't super cold, but that wind is making it feel much colder. Now let's take a look at the futurecast where we can see the snow system that we are expecting to roll through. So again, Environment Canada still does have that snowfall warning in effect. 10 to 15 centimeters is generally expected, but heavier bands of snow could reach 25 centimeters. Now, with all of that being said, it is expected to end by this evening, late tonight, even maybe earlier into tomorrow morning as well. A little bit of snowfall as we go through the night. Now, total snowfall amounts, again, we'll get a little bit more specific here. Swift Current seeing about 13 centimeters, Saskatoon 18, Regina 14, Yorkton still at the most with about 25 centimeters expected. For current temperatures throughout the province, Buffalo Narrows is at -17, Spiritwood -10, Nipawin -14 along with Melfort, Hudson Bay -13, East End -7, Swift Current at -8, Yorkton -10, and Wynyard -11. Now here's a look at today's highs, seeing a little bit more snowfall as well. Prince Albert -4, some cloud cover in the sky. Prince Albert and surrounding areas aren't expecting a ton of snow. Swift Current -6 along with Moose Jaw, Weyburn and Estevan both at -1. For our 5-day forecast here in Regina, -6 is our high for today. Expecting that snowfall to last throughout the day as well. However, tomorrow we'll start to see just a little bit more sunshine with -5 as the high. Over the weekend is when we start to get that sunshine that we want so badly. 2 degrees on Saturday, 7 on Sunday, and Monday at 16 degrees. Now for Saskatoon, -7 here today. Friday, -2. Saturday sitting at about 3 degrees, -6 that night for the low. Sunday at 7 degrees. Again, that sun is starting to come back out again. And Monday still seeing that 16 degree for the high, 1 degree Monday night for the low. Rotary is hosting a dinner and fundraiser. It's called AI on the Prairies, and it's focusing on helping you understand the practical opportunities and risks of AI while raising money for a good cause. Wally is the event's co-chair, and Caitlin Herbert is the executive director of AISK. Let's start off with a little bit on why the Rotary Clubs of Regina and Regina Eastview are hosting this AI fundraiser.
Thank you very much for having us. Good morning. So, Regina Rotary has been offering service for over 100 years. So we thought that AI is the next big thing changing our community, and a lot of people are scared about how it's going to change that. You know, I'll give an example, like the calculator came and it didn't really change math. People were scared. So AI is the next big thing. So we thought that this would be the right, event to engage our community.
Absolutely. And why does AI matter to everybody in Regina right now?
Well, now there's a lot of friction in the world. Costs are going high. Businesses are struggling, competing. So now we need new tools. We need new mindsets. So AI, just like the internet came, and some businesses lost the opportunity. So we are encouraging people to learn about AI so that they can take advantage of the benefits.
And on that same note, what can people expect from AI on the Prairies 2026?
Wow, there's a lot. It's going to be a nice, delicious evening for dinner. And of course, there's opportunity to network. Then we're going to have live demos of some of those solutions. Then we're going to have a lineup of expert speakers with leaders from Ask, from Prairie Scan, to come talk about, if you need funding of deploying AI in your business, then we're going to have, of course, there's a big community here of agriculture. So we're going to have Grand Truth AG also coming as well. So there's a big lineup of speakers, and it's going to be a wonderful event. That's the best place to be on June 11th. All
right, well, it sounds like a lot of fun. For those watching who are interested in attending and being a part of this, how can they do that?
Well, to attend, it's an opportunity to go and buy tickets. Tickets are now live on Zephy.com and, of course, Eventbrite. So you can also check for updates on our LinkedIn page. So tickets is $175, but there's, early bird till May 1, where you can get it free, or not free, cheaper, $155. And you can, if you have more information, you can contact us on Regina Rotary Club at gmail.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you both so much for coming in. We really appreciate it. Get home safe. All of you get home safe too, wherever you're going today. It's snowy out there.
It's been a minute since we've checked in with Regina's Coin Club. George Manzi's in studio with us this morning. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. I love when you come in because you bring some interesting pieces, and this is no exception. Tell us about this unit.
Well, this is a Canadian Bank of Commerce $5 note. It was issued specifically for use in the Klondike region of the Yukon between 1896, when gold was discovered, and 1898. There's 20 of them in the world. That's one of the finest known of the 20. It's really rare and quite expensive.
How long have you been collecting?
I started collecting in 1960.
And what drew you to it?
Pardon me?
What drew you to it?
Well, my father was a coin collector, and so we started collecting together, and I've been doing it ever since.
Remind people out there what the Regina Coin Club is all about and how you could be a part of it.
Well, we're having a show this weekend at the Italian Club on 2148 Connaught Street. On Saturday, it's from 10 until 5, and Sunday, it's from 10 until 3. There will be coin dealers and stamp dealers from across Canada, more than 20 of them. There will be free coins for kids. There's going to be some very interesting displays, lots of things for sale. You can also buy things and sell things there.
This is a neat community. You guys are really close-knit, right?
Yes.
What's it all about for you guys? What does it mean to you guys to get together and do these things?
Well, you meet people that you haven't seen for many months or sometimes years. You also get to meet new people and exchange information on different things. There's always many things that you can learn. No matter how long you've been doing this, there's still lots for you to learn.
Somebody at home is going to ask, what is one of these worth? What would this be worth?
$58,000.
$58,000. And at the time it was?
Pardon?
At the time
it was $5.
$5, right? So it could pay off in the end, this collection. Thank you so much, George. Were tickets at the door of the Italian Club?
Yes.
All right, George Mans is with the Regina Coin Club.
It's April 16th, and we have these milestones to share with you. Happy 7th birthday to Emma Rose. Your grandma and grandpa love you and hope you enjoy your special day. And happy birthday to Jackson with lots of love from your mom and dad.
Milestones, brought to you by Harbor Landing Village, an award-winning senior care and living community in Regina.
If you have a milestone coming up, you can send us an email at yourmorningsaskatchewan@ctv.ca, or you can scan that QR code on your screen. Please make sure to send them at least one day in advance.
Hi, Chase.
Hello. We're trying to survive a winter over here, and we're just diving into that for our topic of today. Asking you to text over to 54321 either a lyric or a movie quote that kind of pairs with today and the snowfall warnings that we've been getting. I'm going with the stepbrother one of, I thought you were dead. No, I was faking it. That is the return of winter in my mind. What's it for you? You can text over. Also, get ready, 8 o'clock this morning. That is your next keyword. So fire us up with the iHeartRadio app, and that keyword could win you that $50,000, and hey, we might still need a tropical vacation, so that could pay for that and then some.
All right, Chase, thank you so much. We'll do this again tomorrow.
A jury has found Live Nation and Ticketmaster operate as an illegal monopoly. The Justice Department and 39 state attorneys general had sued Live Nation, claiming it and its subsidiary Ticketmaster controlled virtually every aspect of the live music ecosystem. A second trial will determine whether to grant the state's request to break up the company or make other structural changes.
I grew up living below the poverty line. I just felt so inferior to everyone.
Those things drove him to search for an outlet. Basketball became that outlet.
And it was an eye-opener.
2 new documentaries take unique athletes beyond the headlines. Jerry West, The Logo, includes the final interviews with the late basketball star, who was inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame as an Olympic player, a pro player, and a general manager, and is widely believed to be the model for the NBA logo. The film is now streaming on Prime Video.
O seu brincar vai nos ajudar a ganhar uma Copa do Mundo.
Era o momento dele.
Foi algo diferente, algo que fez encantar o mundo.
Meanwhile, Ronaldinho, the one and only, profiles one of the greatest soccer players of all time, from his awards and championships at every level to his free-spirited lifestyle to his legal troubles. The documentary is now streaming on Netflix. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Lighten the mood for us, if you could.
This next canine making a splash this morning. Looks thirsty.
Is that a pet?
This is Wally. Yeah, his owner says he's always had a unique way of drinking water, maybe more out of the bowl than in his mouth.
That seems like AI, doesn't it? What's going on with the front paws?
That's a congenital limb deformity that Wally has. So he has to do things his own way. And
we love
apparently
Wally.
when he drinks inside, he does it properly. So this is an outdoor
Wally
activity
does still need to learn to share. The other pooch is very hot.
Yes, I'm just watching.
Very hot. Okay, we get over to partners who love or hate surprises. In this case, it's the latter. The only thing I don't understand is why they put a different soundtrack over top of this when they posted it. This one's a little diabolical. So this woman says to her husband, we're in Salzburg, Austria. Let's go on a bus tour. It's a Sound of Music bus tour. What she didn't tell him was, for the full 5 hours, we were going to sing very loudly on this bus. And there are going to be people carrying goats through the aisles.
I love
That's where you
this.
wish you packed the earbuds.
Oh, yeah, noise canceling. Noise canceling pays for itself right there.
Yeah, plug in the record.
Oh, you might need that for the weather forecast today. She's snowy out there.
Yeah.
Time out. We're back right after this. Welcome to a snowy Thursday, April 16th.
They do not care about the human condition in those detention centers.
Deported back to Canada, this man telling his story about being detained at Alligator Alcatraz.
No one wants to have the state charging them with an offense for 2 years. But is that a good enough reason to say we're going to just dismiss the charge?
A Saskatchewan legal analyst wondering if changes in national law will prevent more trials from being thrown out if they take too long.
We're very confident in the future of WCB.
When it comes to workplace safety in Saskatchewan, the downward trend continues. Stay with us, Saskatchewan. Your morning starts right now. Welcome to Your Morning Saskatchewan. I'm Daryl.
And I'm Janelle. Thank you for being back with us.
And as habit seems to form, Kayleen is off to speak to a school. In which community is she going to today?
Drake, Saskatchewan.
Drake, Saskatchewan. So the students out there are going to learn a little bit about weather and forecasting and stuff today.
That's right.
But she's left us with this.
Yeah, okay, so lots and lots of snow. We can even show you this video here from Prince Albert. That's what April 16th looks like in that fine city.
Naturally.
Everybody loves to see it.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
They will luckily have road crews out this morning. It's all part of this yellow snowfall warning. As the system moves its way through, we're expecting really anywhere from 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. Some of those pockets could actually get up to 25 centimeters, but it should ease by tonight.
Good reminder to keep an eye on the highway hotline if you do need to travel, like Kayleen. She's on the roads today, but she checked the highway hotline. Everything looks good in her area, but there is the latest conditions. You take a look at the area near Hodgeville there. It looks like it is a little bit messed up. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. If we could, on the second image we have here in the queue. There it is. This is newer. This is expanding. It's by Gravelberg. Anything in blue is travel not recommended. Snow covered is those roads in red. So if you do have to travel somewhere, Janelle will have your full forecast coming up in about 5 minutes. Let's get to your news for this part of the hour. We begin with the family of a Saskatoon girl who was struck and killed while on her way to school 4.5 years ago. It's the first time a spokesperson has talked since Saskatchewan's appeal court upheld a decision to stay the charges against the driver. As Kina Sorokon reports, the girl's family feels months of legal proceedings have diminished their hope that justice would be served.
It never really got to a stage where we feel like there was representation of a victim.
Sarah Smokey Day, a spokesperson for the family of Bailey Maurice, says Charter of Rights and Freedom arguments have shaken their belief in the justice system. Maurice was killed after she was struck by a vehicle on her way to school in September 2021. Taylor Kennedy was charged with impaired driving causing death. Last week, the Saskatchewan Court of Appeal upheld a decision to stay the case, saying her rights were breached because the trial couldn't be completed in a reasonable amount of time. But Smokey Day feels Maurice has been overshadowed by charter rights arguments.
It's horribly disappointing and heartbreaking, but it also wasn't a huge surprise because of the way everything went from start to finish.
Kennedy's trial ultimately ended in December 2024, nearly 30 months after she was charged, far longer than the 18 months the Supreme Court has laid out as a reasonable time frame. This Jordan limit has seen thousands of trials thrown out across the country every year, and legal scholars are wondering if there's another way to proceed.
It has kind of crowded out a lot of the societal considerations that we might think ought to be relevant to whether that's a reasonable remedy or not.
Fair says a case currently before the Supreme Court could look at potential changes like going back to trial and examining lighter sentences instead of abandoning the case.
No one wants to have the state charging them with an offense for 2 years. But is that a good enough reason to say we're going to just dismiss the charge? In many cases, I think that's overkill.
Saskatchewan has a relatively low rate of cases that exceed the Jordan limit compared to other provinces. Year over year, 2.7% of offenses go beyond the limit, compared to the national average of 9.7%. The Ministry of Justice has yet to decide whether it will appeal to the Supreme Court, and as much as Smokey Day supports that, she's not optimistic Canada's top court will be considering the 9-year-old killed as she pushed her scooter along a crosswalk. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Well, the provincial government is looking for a solution after telling seniors to move out of their public housing because of their age. Wayne Mantica reports.
It's a small victory for Deb Stumpf, who had received notice to move out of her Sask housing apartment by the end of May. That's now on hold.
But I told him I'm not going. Like, why? I keep asking that question, why?
The government wants its older public housing tenants to relocate to seniors housing. It would free up more apartments for families. This week, a group of older tenants appealed their case to the minister in charge of Sask Housing.
Jensen, the minister, he was very understanding and wanted to listen and wanted to come up with some solutions.
The tenants say they don't understand why seniors and families can't live in the same building.
If young people want to move in there, let them move into the seniors' places downtown. A lot of young people like to be downtown at the Cornwall Centre and stuff like that, you know. I just don't like the policy.
The government says the policies are written into the tenant's lease. It says they are long-standing and apply province-wide. Wayne Mantica, CTV News, Regina.
Staggering overdose numbers, Jeremy Dodge, in your city.
Yeah, Daryl, frontline workers are concerned. The overdose situation in Saskatoon is going to get worse in the coming weeks. It follows an overdose alert issued by the province earlier this weekend, the closure of Prairie Harm Reduction. Stacey Hine now on the pressures on the streets.
The Saskatoon Fire Department says it's responded to 195 overdose calls in the past 2 weeks, already higher than any month so far this year. The Saskatoon Community Clinic says it's seeing that spike firsthand, with numbers now approaching last spring's surge. March alone hit 509 overdose responses from the fire department.
We are seeing numbers that are approaching, if not the same as the worst of the numbers from last spring.
The Saskatchewan Union of Nurses says the pressure is also showing up in Saskatoon hospitals.
Both have reported an increase in overdoses and those who use drugs accessing the ER, which, you know, our ERs are already beyond capacity, and so we're seeing more and more come in.
The fire department says nearly a third of recent overdose calls were within 5 blocks of Prairie Harm Reduction. The organization closed last week following the March 26 shutdown of its supervised consumption site when it lost its federal exemption. With it, access to a drug checking machine was lost, a key tool for identifying substances and informing alerts.
We're flying blind when we're doing a response. We don't know what folks have taken. We don't know what the unexpected substance is, so we don't know how to counteract that quickly.
The province says no decision has been made on a new location for the drug checking machine.
So because there's no exemption any longer, that machine can't be used, so we're just determining what will happen with it next.
In a statement, the Ministry of Health says there's no data at this time linking the recent spike in overdoses to the closure of Prairie Harm Reduction. But with one less organization, many are bracing for things to get worse.
There's just so many people that we already knew we weren't going to be able to keep up. And now we have one less provider doing the work.
Esther B. says many organizations are preparing for this to be the worst summer they've experienced. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
All right, Daryl, we've got some mixed numbers for workplace safety in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, so the downward trend continues when it comes to injuries, but when it comes to fatalities, it's a different story. Sierra D'Souza Butts has those details.
When it comes to safety in the workplace, the Saskatchewan Workers' Compensation Board feels the situation is improving provincially.
Our time loss injury rate, which is time loss claims plus fatality claims, dropped to 1.66 per 100 workers in 2025.
In 2025, the WCB received 17,401 injury workplace claims, the lowest ever. A result, the WCB credits to the combined efforts of workers, employers, and safety associations.
We're very confident in the future of WCB and how we're investing in strategic initiatives where we hope to reduce the cost of claims, reduce the number of claims, continue to do well in our investments.
As part of the board's report, WorkSafe Saskatchewan remains focused on 3 high-risk industries, including healthcare, transportation, and construction. The WCB has also noticed a change in what types of claims are being made.
We're seeing more psychological claims, more occupational disease claims. These are longer term, more complex claims, and they're more costly, including durations.
Although 89% of Saskatchewan workplaces reported 0 injuries or fatalities, there were 27 workers who died from workplace injury or illness.
These workers in Saskatchewan had their lives cut short because of work-related injuries and occupational diseases.
The board hopes they can prevent tragedies in the future with resources like WorkSafe Saskatchewan, a goal they feel everyone in the province is working towards. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
The Prince Albert Raiders have advanced to the WHL's Eastern Conference Final.
For Oiring. Tees it up. Rudolph a shot. It gets in behind. Gardner and into the net. It squeaks in.
The Raiders scored 4 goals in the first period and held on for a 5-3 win over the Saskatoon Blades to sweep them aside. Daxon Rudolph's 5th of the playoffs stood up as a game winner. There's Max Heisey's 1st of the playoffs. He had some injury battles. The Raiders advanced to the conference final where they will take on the Medicine Hat Tigers, who also earned a sweep them over the Calgary Hitmen. Let's get over to the Weather Center and join Janelle Lipai. All those travel not recommended and everything leads to that beautiful sky cam shot we do or do not have behind you.
That's right. I'm leaning more towards do not. We are not seeing a ton for visibility out there here this morning. That snow is really starting to come down. We are at -8 for our current temperature here. Seeing those wind speeds at about 22 kilometers per hour, which of course isn't helping the visibility either. Over to Saskatoon, a little bit more of a clear start here to the day, -10 for that current temperature, 39 kilometer per hour wind. So again, that wind speed is going to continue throughout today. It will make it feel colder than what these temperatures are currently reflecting. Now let's move over to our futurecast. We can see that system moving through the province here. Again, the snowfall warning is still in effect. We are expecting to see this precipitation sticking around all throughout today into the evening and a little bit into early tomorrow morning as well. Now for total snowfall amounts, we do have swift current at about 11 centimeters, Saskatoon 18. We are starting to see some of these come down compared to earlier here this morning. Yorkton still the highest at about 25 centimeters and Regina again seeing that 12 centimeter mark. For current temperatures in the province, Buffalo Narrows is at -15, Spiritwood -10, Nipawin -13, along with Hudson Bay, Melfort -14, Yorkton and Wynyard both at -11, East End and Swift Current -8, Kindersley -10. Now for our highs here today, Battleford seeing -6, Swift Current -7, Weyburn and Estevan both at that -1 degree mark, Yorkton at -9. Now for our 7-day forecast here in Regina, there is some light at the end of the tunnel, as you can see here today, seeing that snowfall, -6 for our high. Tomorrow we will start to see some of those clouds clear up. Still not a lot of sunshine. However, Saturday is when we'll start to see it come back out. 2 degrees on Saturday for the high, Sunday seeing 7 degrees. Now next week we've got beautiful temperatures. Monday 16 degrees and on Tuesday 21 for our high. Over to Saskatoon, -7 here today, -2 tomorrow. Again, seeing sunshine by next week as well. 3 degrees on Saturday for our high. Sunday, we're seeing 7 degrees. Monday, 16 and Tuesday, 21. So those temperatures will be warming up. It's a little bit confusing right now, but we'll get into next week and we'll start to see that sun coming out.
This day in history, April 16, 1945, a German submarine sank a Canadian vessel near Halifax Harbor. It was the last Canadian ship lost during the Second World War. April 16, 2018, Kendrick Lamar became the first rapper to win the Pulitzer Prize for music. And April 16, 2003, Michael Jordan played his last NBA game in Philadelphia, getting a 3-minute standing ovation.
Well, it won't be long now until we finally find some of the treasures revealed when this snow actually melts for good. And there's a melting snow pile in Boston that is starting to reveal some interesting things.
They're going to drive that thing again.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Yeah, this is in the city of Somerville, Massachusetts. The Department of Public Works say they left these city cars, 6 of them, under the snow on purpose. They are inoperable, and they were awaiting disposal anyway. And then they had back-to-back major storms, and they just said, you know what, we'll wait. They didn't want to divert the resources to move them. So now they're slowly being revealed as the snow melts. Kind of fun.
Need a time lapse. Need a time lapse of that as they, you know?
Yeah.
See if any of them fire back up. They get them out of there. I doubt it. Oh, man. A question of the day. Here's our next segment. Just for fun and no other reason, we've asked if you were a baseball player at any level, what would your walk-up song be? And we've gotten these responses.
Yeah, we've got some great songs coming in. Lori, who says, I think my walk-up song would be Walking on Sunshine.
Oh, Ragdoll by Aerosmith. Leanne.
Oh, that was good.
The album's coming out this fall. We don't want to spoil the whole thing.
Okay.
Jerry's very talented.
Very.
He won't press the record on vinyl, though.
No, of course not. Ronald here, who says somewhere over the rainbow, because that's where my bat would send the ball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love the visual of that.
All right.
Yeah. We've also got The Thunder Rolls by Garth Brooks, because that's the sound when it connects. Greg says Staying Alive.
Might be a long at bat for Greg. He's just staying alive, taking pitches.
Yeah. Debbie, who says Happy, which is another great choice.
Anything else on the big board?
Let's see if one more.
What do we got? That's it. That's all we got. That's a QR
all.
code for you to answer tomorrow. We're back with health news after this.
Cancer can be life-threatening, and for some patients, so is the treatment. And that's especially true for the heart. CTV's Pauline Chan explains why that is the case.
Morning, Joy.
It was 4 years ago that Joy Boudreau was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
I had 8 rounds of chemotherapy, 2 different types of chemotherapy, so 4 rounds of one type and 4 rounds of another. And I was recommended for this clinic because the first 4 that I had could cause irreparable damage.
Certain patients are at higher risk depending on the type of cancer therapy that they're getting, depending on their age, and depending on their other medical problems. Diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure all put you at higher risk.
Joy was referred to the cardio-oncology clinic at Scarborough Health Network. The vast majority of patients seen here have breast cancer, but lymphoma, lung, and prostate cancer patients are not uncommon.
And then the second population is the population with previous cardiac risk factors that are undergoing cancer treatment.
Oncologist Dr. Paul Lau says doctors may have to weigh the dangers of cancer treatment against the benefits.
Oncologists may be reluctant to continue a patient's treatment past heart damage. And it is very important for us to have expertise in the cardiology realm to say, look, I think we can continue.
And it's not just the chemotherapy. Radiation in the chest area can also raise heart risks. Patients are seen by the clinic even before they begin treatment, and those who are deemed low risk don't have to come here, but they are closely monitored by their oncologist.
We do a lot of education around their risk factors. We do a lot of education around exercise, because control of these risk factors and promoting exercise in this patient population has been shown to reduce the risk of complications from cancer therapy, especially cardiotoxicity.
I have since finished a lot of my treatments. I just have one medication that I have to take for 10 years, but I am living my best life.
It's a multidisciplinary approach, including pharmacists, nurses, dietitians, and more, that has helped Boudreau and thousands of others through a complicated medical journey. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Health Report, brought to you in part by SEIU West, Saskatchewan's first healthcare union.
Let's say hello to Mike Siona again. He's teaching us all about Clydesdales this morning. Mike.
I think anything that lowers the price of gas would definitely help.
As prices continue to fluctuate, a new federal tax break is promising some short-term relief for drivers.
All right, still trying to fix some glitches in our matrix, but in the meantime, now I believe we can connect with Mike Siona, who is out horsing around this morning. Good morning, Mike. We hope. Obviously, we've got some playback issues in our system. We will continue to update the conditions and everything out there. For now, we'll take a brief look outside until we can connect with Mike Siona. Snow just will not leave us alone, will it? As conditions are deteriorating in several parts of the province. We're going to skip right ahead to the Weather Center, bring in Janelle Lippi for a look at that forecast. Janelle, what are we seeing out there, and how long is this system supposed to last for us?
Here in Regina, we aren't seeing too much. As you can tell here behind me on the morning view, visibility not looking great. These conditions are expected to last through the afternoon into the evening and a little bit throughout tonight as well. So lots to look forward to. -8 currently here in Regina, 28km/h winds. Of course, not helping the visibility either. Over in Saskatoon, however, as you can see, as you can see, there is much better visibility, but that snow is still coming. -10 currently, seeing those 39km/h winds. Now let's move over to our future cast where we can see that system rolling through. We are still expecting to see that last here throughout the day and a little bit into tomorrow morning as well. Environment Canada still has that snowfall warning in effect, of course, so 10 to 15 centimeters is generally expected, but those heavier bands of snow could really reach from, to 25 centimeters. Now let's look at more specific amounts here. We are starting to see these snowfall amounts fluctuate just a little bit. Saskatoon's at 16 centimeters, Swift Current 5 centimeters, Yorkton at 22, so coming down a little bit, but still the most on our board here. Moose Jaw sitting at about 9 centimeters. Now for our current temperatures, Buffalo Narrows is at -15. South End sitting at -18, Spiritwood at -10. Melfort -14. East End and Swift Current both at -8. Yorkton and Wynyard -11 and Estevan -4. Here's a look at our highs for today. Still seeing snow across the board. We can expect to not really see this change here today. Swift Current seeing -7 for their high. Moose Jaw -6. Weyburn and Estevan still at that -1 degree mark, and Yorkton -9. Now for our 5-day forecast. Today, again, seeing that snow, -6 here in Regina for our high. We will reach a low of about -10 tonight. Tomorrow, -5, starting to see a little bit of sunshine come out, but still quite a bit of cloud cover in the sky. Now, over the weekend is when we can expect to see those conditions change. 2 degrees on Saturday, 7 on Sunday. Monday, starting off a fresh week with a beautiful 16 degrees. Over to Saskatoon, -7 today, and of course seeing that snowfall. Tomorrow, -2, Saturday at 3 degrees and seeing that sunshine. We've got a beautiful weekend, and Monday also at that 16 degree mark for our high. All right, CTV with your morning, or CTV Your Morning rather, with CAA Travel and Colette Tours wants to send you and a guest on a 12-day Italy's treasure trip of a lifetime experience. You can see history, culture, and cuisine across northern Italy from October 18th to 28th. You can enter online now at ctvsaskatoon.ca or ctvregina.ca, and you can include today's keyword, which is Venice, for a chance to win. Good luck.
Welcome back. A Canadian grandfather who spent 2 months in ICE custody back on Canadian soil after he was deported. Judy Trin has his story.
Douglas Dixon has been deported back to Canada. After being arrested by ICE in February, he was taken to Alligator Alcatraz.
I didn't think that the United States was going to treat people inhumanely. They do not care about the human condition in those detention centers.
Dixon moved to South Florida in 2005, where he raised his family and got a green card. During the COVID pandemic, the 61-year-old grandfather had to close down his smoothie cafe and fell behind in taxes. He owed the U.S. government $30,000 and pleaded no contest to tax evasion and started paying it back. But he still owed $12,000. He was arrested during a check-in at his probation office.
And just as I turned the corner, there they are. There was about 7 or 8 ICE guys, grabbed me right away, threw me up against the wall.
He says detainees were allowed to shower every 3 days and got 1 hour of yard time every 4 days. Donald Trump has said the facility would house violent criminals, but Dixon says that's not his experience.
They all have jobs. Most of them have families. The atmosphere in there is one of despair.
After 9 days at Alligator Alcatraz, Dixon was transferred to another detention center. Under American law, defrauding the government of more than $10,000 is an aggravated felony. After 65 days, Dixon was put on a plane and banned from the U.S. for life. He didn't get a chance to say goodbye to his family, but they sent this message.
He will have accomplished something that he's been terrified for all his life, was being on a plane. With his anxiety.
And I'm just proud that he has continued to wake up every morning.
Do they have a copy of that I can keep forever?
Douglas Dixon is one of 32 Canadians who have been deported from the U.S. since October. Dixon will now return to Montreal and move in with his sister in a city that he hasn't called home for more than 20 years. Judy Trin, CTV News, Toronto.
News that Ottawa is reducing federal fuel taxes for the next few months is welcome news for Saskatchewan drivers. The reduction will kick in on Monday. Carlos Shinkaruk now on some of your reaction.
I think anything that lowers the price of gas would definitely help.
As fuel prices continue to fluctuate, a new federal tax break is promising some short-term relief for drivers. The measure is expected to lower prices by several cents per liter through the summer months, which could save this commuter a lot.
I mean, my vehicle went from about $130 or $120 up to, I think it was $183 the other day.
But not everyone is feeling the same pain at the pumps. This resident tries to limit the use of his car.
I think it's great. I do think, though, that if people didn't drive everywhere, people would be a lot better off.
And this driver is very happy with her decision to go electric.
Very smug about having purchased it. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago now. Yeah, just in time, really, it felt like.
Others say the conversation should go beyond the price of gas altogether.
I think we need actually more than gas prices reduced, to be honest. Our grocery prices are so high. If you consider the amount of increases that we've had in the last 30 years.
While the federal government moves to cut its portion of the tax, Premier Scott Moe said this.
We welcome affordability measures. That's something that we've been focused on in a different way.
Stopping short of promising any sort of cut on Saskatchewan's tax.
We're always, looking at what can we do to better serve the people of Saskatchewan in, what is an increasingly inflationary environment.
Experts say while drivers may notice a small drop come Monday, bigger factors are still at play.
We are dealing with a massive energy shock. It hasn't become apparent, I think, to a lot of Canadians and North American markets.
One of the main reasons, production shortfalls. This expert says don't expect any immediate relief as we head into summer travel season.
I don't see them going down at least until some point in later summer. These prices may come down a little bit in the short term.
The federal gas tax cut is expected to last until early September. Carla Shinkrook, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Over a century ago, one of the largest tragedies in maritime history. Virginia DeClute now shows us the story of the RMS Titanic and its ties to Saskatchewan.
It's been 114 years that a ship set sail in Ireland to cross the Atlantic. It was said to be unsinkable.
They couldn't see the dark iceberg because it was nighttime, and again it sunk because of the iceberg, and they couldn't turn fast enough.
The RMS Titanic sank on April 15, 1912, with over 2,000 people on board. Many were headed to Canada, including Charles Melville Hayes.
He had gone overseas to try and acquire more funding to keep building his railway, and of course he was one of the people that perished on the Titanic.
His body was located weeks later by the ship CS Minia.
I can't quote it for word, but it was just to the fact that if we keep pushing things at this speed, disaster will happen. And it's kind of crazy that disaster happened on the ship that he was on coming back to Canada.
Today, a Saskatchewan town carries his legacy.
He had a vision, is what it was, and he wanted to make Melville the hub, and we are the hub between Winnipeg and Vancouver. We are the main hub of the now CN Rail, and we have so much history tied with the railway and Charles Melville Hayes.
The brother of Moose Jaw's mayor at the time, Frank Uber Maybury, also perished in the disaster, along with British brothers Louis and Owen Bront from England. They wanted to reach the Capel Valley because a relative had already settled in Saskatoon.
Well, the first movie I remember going to was my dad and my mom taking us to the Titanic movie. It was in the early 50s somewhere.
Ulrich's father crossed the Atlantic with his sister in 1913, a year after the disaster.
So it was very important that he realized that he came across safely when this luxury ship sank, and he just wanted us to see how he did come to Canada and how important it was that he was safe.
Following the disaster, the small community of Murray petitioned for and eventually changed its name to Titanic to honor the victims. Today, all that's left are a sign and a cemetery to remind us of its memory. Today we remember those who perished at sea, for theirs was not only a story of class and technology, but of countless people who crossed an ocean in hope of a better future. Virginia DeClute, CTV News, Yorkton.
The University of Regina has announced the institution's plan for the next 10 years with the motto of Together We Serve. According to the university, this means that service is not an individual act, but a shared responsibility institutionally. The U of R president is Dr. Jeff Cashin, who joins us live this morning. Jeff, you said that the goal is to, by 2035, see the institution recognized as one of the top research-intensive comprehensive university. Why was that a focus for you?
It is a focus because, in my view, in universities, ultimately research drives innovation, it drives reputation, and professors who are active in their research and their scholarship also make, I think, the most engaging, skilled, and I guess far-reaching teachers in terms of their impact on students. So I think that research is always at the core of a university, and we want to invest in research going forward.
So that's one of the cornerstones, but this 10-year plan has a lot more that goes into it. Maybe the broad strokes, if you could, for people at home who need to understand what this document's all about.
Sure. A strategic plan really sets out, I think, the aspirations of a university. And in this context, we wanted to say what we wanted to be rather than just what we wanted to do. There is a real difference there. It's aspirational. So by 2035, we made some considerable progress in several domains, but really be recognized as a leader with respect to truth and reconciliation, incorporating Indigenous ways of knowing within courses, within the aesthetics of the university. About 13% of our university population is Indigenous, ensuring that every student in the STEM, we do see this to a large extent, that they're able to showcase their research, they're able to make connections in industry, but those in the humanities, the fine arts, to ensure that they also have an experiential learning opportunity so they can connect with people in the wider outside the walls of the ivory tower, and to showcase their skills and to get jobs following graduation. Also to really deepen our relationships with the community. We've been very good on that. But to establish more industry partnerships, more partnerships with not-for-profits, more partnerships with our government, pursue through our programming the growth plan of the province, and really also embrace the possibilities of newer technology. AI is coming, ever more prominently. It's here to a large extent, and for us to utilize that in a way that is effective but also ethical. These are some of the challenges that universities face going forward, and in being recognized as a premier Western Canadian university, those are some of the areas in which we'll be prioritizing.
A lot of this, as you said, is aspirational in a way, and a lot of that is dependent upon budget constraints, what may or may not happen over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. Just how do you take that into account and still achieve these goals?
Our provincial government, first of all, has given us some stability with regard to funding at that level. We have a 4-year agreement with them, which we're very appreciative of. The real wild card has been for the past 2 years and going forward as well is in the international marketplace. That's been a huge challenge for us and universities and colleges across Canada. For us at the University of Regina, in 2023, we admitted 2,300 international students, mostly undergraduate. And this last year, with the ever-changing landscape from Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, the restrictions, but also the instability in their application of restrictions, that has dropped to 600. The problem has been, even with the caps, no institution is reaching their caps. I just returned from several trips into primary markets where we've drawn students, India, Bangladesh, also in China. Students and their parents, because of the high rejection rates, and the way in which international students have been portrayed as many centers as being the cause of a housing crisis and in some cases higher unemployment, talk about fraud, they are really hesitating to apply to Canada. So the challenge has been not just to get them to look at Saskatchewan, which also people overseas are really not familiar with, but more so than that, getting them to trust the system that the federal government is overseeing in the international marketplace. And Canada's reputation needs to recover in those areas. We're no longer, in most of these areas, the number one choice of international students. The decline has actually been quite striking. In 2023, Apply Board, which is the major conduit through which students apply to come to Canada, they match students overseas with Canadian institutions. Canada was the number one choice of 35% of students that they surveyed. That was the number one country. Australia's ahead of us now. England's ahead of us now. Even with the current political turmoil, the United States is ahead of us. We're at 17%. The latest figures I've seen even having as low as 15% as a first choice destination.
Dr. Jeff, the University Athletics program loves you. I've been to a number of events, hosted them for you. Thank you for that. I see the jersey behind you. Is this the year that Mark McConkey actually plugs in your headset when you're trying to make those play calls?
Mark and I have an understanding. He's going to put the headsets on me, but they're going to be disconnected. I have many plays, and thankfully they have banned me from the sidelines because I'm just way too engaged, too many opinions.
Dr. Jeff, don't we all? We're all armchair quarterbacks at heart. Thank you so much for a couple of minutes today. We'll do this again soon.
Thanks. Go Rams, go Cougars.
Okay, I think we've ironed out all the kinks in our system. So let's go back and track down Mike Siona one more time. He's doing some horsing around this morning.
Well, one more time down here at K&S Clydesdales in Glendora, just outside of Saskatoon, with Kristen and Shane Arthurs ahead of the open house. Kristen, let's talk about why. Why did you get involved in Clydesdales and breeding and all this fun?
They were a bucket list item for me, and I went on Kijiji of all things one year, and I came across this ad, and I contacted the person. We ended up bringing that mare home. Her name was Dolly, and now we're probably 14 years later, and now we're breeding them, and we couldn't imagine life without them.
It's absolutely amazing. You could just, you could see, you could hear the passion and just the love in here, which is awesome. Apollo, a world champion, Shane. How does that work?
World champion, we went to Springfield, Illinois. There was over 600 Clydes, and Kristen went in some riding classes, and Apollo and them got a world champion, and we're excited.
That's fantastic. And then, of course, coming up right here this weekend is going to be this open house.
Yes, open house is Saturday, 11 to 6, and right at our place. Look for the QR code on the Clydesdale Association. We're going to have a hot dog sale, concession stand, wagon rides, ride a Clyde for $5, and all the money going to the Sask Clyde Association. Come on out and see these big, gentle giants.
No doubt about it. And Kristen, the last word goes to you, because we want to talk about the association, obviously, how much work you guys all do together. Pretty tight-knit. How much will that money help them?
It will help us a lot, because we are actually planning for the next World Show in 2029 in Canada, so we would definitely want to be a part of that and support that endeavor. But just to promote this breed and hopefully get some more members and share the wonderful experiences that we have with them, and just teach people about big draft horses.
Fantastic. Well, I've certainly learned a lot this morning. Thanks for having us out. And Saturday, Glendora, don't miss it.
We're introducing you this morning to Charity Connections, powered by the Saskatchewan Community Foundation. Here to tell us what's involved is Andy Schmidt and Victor Roman Morrow. Good morning to both of you, and thank you for your time.
Good morning.
All right, Andy, I'm going to come over to you first. Let's talk about the First Steps Wellness Center. You're repping the brand well there this morning. What is it, and how do you serve the community?
Yeah, so 16 years ago, our two founders, one of them sustained a spinal cord injury, and they started a facility here in Regina, actually Canada's first activity-based therapy center. So we would do long-term exercise therapy for individuals with neurological injuries such as spinal cord injury, stroke, MS. We've served as young as 3 months old, and our oldest client right now is actually 92.
Wow. Okay, so you have now partnered with the Saskatchewan Community Foundation. Let's talk about how that came to be. Victor.
Yeah, I know. First Steps has received grants from many donors who hold funds at the Community Foundation. And what's unique today is actually First Steps Wellness Center is one of the charities who holds their own fund at the Community Foundation, which is designed so that the money that goes into there helps the sustainability of the organization and just kind of creates a low-fee, simple, easy option for them to be able to partner, which then also lets us find other ways to share resources, educational opportunities, things like that for the center.
Wow. So what kind of impact has that made for you?
I've been doing various events with the Community Foundation, from a charity professional development day or networking events, and every time I go, I always tell their staff, I'm like, this is top tier, like the events they put on. So finally we decided, our board at Christmas time decided to start a couple funds with them, and just figured it was the right thing to do. We've been around a long time now, financially secure, and one of the next things is when somebody donates money, it's wise to save. And so we look to the Community Foundation to determine, hey, how can we put some of this money away for long-term financial sustainability of our facility?
A beautiful and beneficial partnership on both sides. Wonderful. All right, Andy, let's talk about what's coming up for the First Steps Wellness Center.
Yeah, so we got, many of you have heard of Tim Hortons Smile Cookie campaign, and so we were very, very grateful to be chosen again this year. We were chosen last year, and so that's coming up the last last weekend in April and the first week of May. And so any Smile Cookie you purchase goes straight to us and actually another local charity named Sophia House, a domestic violence shelter. We're also purchasing an adult-sized robotic walker device that was just donated to us recently, so that's going to be quite new. Yeah.
Are there any other ways that people can get involved, whether it be with the First Steps Wellness Center or with the Saskatchewan Community Foundation?
I'll leave this to you, Randy.
Well, I mean, for you guys, I think people need to look at their legacy, and they have a wonderful thing called legacy funds, which I'm a huge fan of. And I think charitable giving is amazing, and it can go a long way, especially in the form of a legacy fund that lasts and lasts and lasts. And for us, head on over to our website, firststepswellnesscenter.ca, or follow us, probably both of us on socials, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you both so much for your time this morning. As Andy just mentioned, you can head on over to their website for more information, firststepswellness.ca.
Next, we introduce you to a woman who found companionship in the form of a pair of flying friends.
And she believes they were sent to her as a message from a lost love. Adam Swatsky reports.
Well, countless happy memories fill Roberta Flora's home.
Look at me with my baby.
This one chair,
My husband's chair.
is empty.
I was with my husband till his last breath. And the doctor came in and said, "You did it right. Until death do us part."
Yet leaving the hospital without Gianni after 33 years of marriage felt wrong. Roberta was engulfed by grief. Until that night, she felt an unexpected and comforting presence.
And he said, "It's me." I go, "Gianni, yeah, you were so sad they let me come back for a while."
But when she woke up, her Gianni wasn't there. Although Roberta then heard something was.
And I go to the window and then they're, go. Yeah.
It was a couple of seagulls, which Roberta said she'd never seen before, let alone landing so close to her home.
I think my husband sent them.
Why do you think he did that?
Because he loves me. He showed it every day.
And he's still showing it every day.
Still. Yeah.
Because every day since the day after her husband died, Roberta says the seagulls have stopped by for a visit.
Go, "Hi, you guys, I'm coming out."
Well, sometimes she feeds them.
"Hey, what you doing? Come here."
Every time they have a conversation.
Well, I tell them how cute they are and that I love them and I'm glad they come and visit me.
And rather than get stuck in grieving,
I love it. They're my friends.
the seagulls remind her that Gianni would want her to keep living.
Oh, it's just wonderful. You forget all the bad stuff.
And you remember all the good stuff you can still find when you start looking for life after loss.
Yeah, they keep me happy.
Adam Swatsky, CTV News, Esquimalt.
There you go, signs. Signs are everywhere.
That is so sweet.
And again, I can hear my wife saying there's no such thing as a seagull, which apparently blew her mind.
I still can't believe it. It's just, it's a gull, but you call it, like, that would be a garage gull. It was on the garage.
Garage gull.
Like,
No, they have technical names.
Oh.
We'll get into it.
Okay.
Well, let's get to our sidebar. Poor wife. She gets to work and then her coworkers always like, "Oh, you hear what your husband said about you?" She's like, "No,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't watch." There's a super sweet addition to a family in Madrid at the zoo. They are welcoming in. Here comes the tears for poor Janelle, a newborn orangutan.
oh my goodness.
Male infant was born on April 2nd. Right now, he's just a little more than 3 pounds, but growing. They'll soon invite visitors to help name him as well.
He's so little. He's
Gotta
so
call
little.
him Prince Louis.
Yeah, yeah. Or name him after some weird, world leader, like this little baby Boris Yeltsin orangutan.
That's a great idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? That's so strange.
Why not? Why not? Producer
I don't know.
Producer
I guess.
Nathan did that with his cat.
Yes.
We won't tell you his cat's name.
Okay.
We won't tell you his cat's name.
Okay.
So this is one way you can deal with pests. He's on a beach in Mexico, and somehow producer Nathan is still haunting us with humanoid robots. This one chases after wild boars and yells, "Get out of here!" This is not a joke. They actually do this.
This is awesome.
They shout, go away.